Hey, good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, depending on where in the country everybody is. I'm going to get started here in about a second. I'm seeing a few people trickle in here. Yeah, I think we're at about the attendance we expected now. So I'll get started. I'll introduce myself really quick. My name is Jim Paris. I'm a sales engineer here at ProLink Solutions. I work with a lot of potential new clients, introducing them to some of our software products. I also work with a lot of our existing clients to help them kind of take full advantage of our suite of software products. Today, we're going to be focusing on Procorem specifically for the developer and their use case around it. On our agenda today, I'm just going to give you guys a little bit of a brief introduction on who ProLink is, how we came about to be in the industry. Then I'm going to go over a little bit of information on Procorem. What is Procorem? Why was it built? What's it used for? I'll get through those two sections pretty quickly, and then I'll get into a live demonstration of how developers can use Procorem in a few different ways. So as far as introduction, just for anybody here who's not super familiar with ProLink and our background and our presence in the affordable housing industry. We've been in the affordable housing industry for a little bit over 20 years. We've built different products for housing finance agencies, private sector firms like syndicators and investors, some of the banks that act as investors as well, and developers as well. So we serve kind of all sides of it. We serve the private sector side, who's investing and syndicating, and we also serve the state housing finance agencies and some supportive services agencies as well. We have a few different software products, but today we're going to be focusing on Procorem, specifically around how developers would use that. A little bit of background on what Procorem is and why it's used. So Procorem is part of our product suite. About 1,000 developers are currently on it, either to use it for their own purposes or to work with state housing finance agencies to provide state housing finance agencies proper documentation and proper information that they need during the development of a certain multifamily complex or the management of one. And it is mainly built for collaboration between all the parties involved in a certain property. And I'll show you a little bit about that along the way too. So Procorem can facilitate the communication between the agency, developers, syndicators, and any other third parties involved, like inspectors, insurance companies, lawyers, accountants, etc. You can share documents, assign tasks to each other within or outside of the organization. Emails can be sent out to help notify people about things. And there is a calendaring function in there as well to help manage deadlines. And then there are posts, so people can kind of interact with each other, almost like a social media wall within Procorem, to kind of facilitate the process of everybody working together to move a particular deal forward or to help manage the ongoing management of a property. Just to give you a little bit of background of like why a state housing finance agency would be using Procorem. Procorem, they would use it to communicate with developers, contractors, property managers, and collect all of the information and documentation they need from them. And then Procorem would directly integrate into the back office system called ProLink HFA that our HFA clients would use. Some other features of Procorem, of course, internal and external collaboration. That's really the driver behind why Procorem exists. There's complete document management, and I'll definitely show you that when I get into the live demo. There is task management that can be focused on the industry and specific things that need to get done during the development process of an affordable property, as well as during asset management. After the property has been built. There is commenting, email notifications, And there's definitely an audit trail of everything that's been done. And that's a really good resource for a lot of people who want to look into the history of, when was certain documentation filed, who filed that, etc. There's a lot of different use cases we have for it. One of the biggest ones, I think the biggest one, is the application submission process. And that's really what my demo is going to focus around today, is that application submission. But there's also tenant event submission. So once you're in the asset management and compliance part of a property, it's already been built and you need to report tenant certifications. There's a big use case for that with Procorem as well. And then just general compliance, gap financing, and third-party services. But now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to switch screens here, and I'm going to take you into a live demo of Procorem. All right, so here's what Procorem would look like from the perspective of a developer who has been invited as a collaborator by a housing finance agency. So the reason a housing finance agency would do this is because, let's say you're putting in an application with this agency, and now you need to start sending them the documentation they need, and following up with them, and getting your application through the process and scored, and hopefully you get awarded some tax credits based on your application here. So I got invited to the Housing Finance Agency Work Center. So what I can do here is I can go to this deal. Let's say I'm applying for Garden Court Apartments to be a affordable housing unit or property with the state HFA. So here I am in Garden Court Work Center, and now, as a developer, I'm going to have to do a certain number of things and provide certain documentation to the housing finance agency. So I'm logged in here, and there's going to be a file folder format that the agency had set up for me to provide this documentation at certain points within the process. As you can see, it can be pretty specific to affordable housing. My file folders can be structured in a way that makes sense for the process I'm going through. And templates can be provided as well. You can see I have that LiveTech application template. But for somebody who's getting invited kind of as an external collaborator, so let's say in this example, the housing finance agency is inviting you as a developer to provide your documentation. Usually you're going to be working out of the task functions because the agency is going to be assigning you tasks as developer. And as you can see, this is all set up in succession with the whole process of this application. As you can see, there's the application submission stage here, initial review stage, due diligence, underwriting, legal, loan closing, construction, you name it. It's all really set up in a way to help go through each step and each stage of the process here. So I'm going to use my application as my example task here. So what can be set up is you have different people who are assigned to complete this task. So that would be me, Jim Developer. I have to submit this application, and then I have the approvers here. So once I submit this application, the people from the agency will then approve that I've submitted it and I've submitted it correctly. You can also have people who are here as followers. So maybe there's somebody who's manager or director level at the state HFA who doesn't really need to do anything, but wants to just keep an eye on this and get notifications for it. So if you are on this work center, and specifically, definitely if you're on this task, you'll be getting email notifications along the way as things happen related to this task or related to this work center. So once you finish this task, you can also log in and just keep your eye on, is this getting approved or not? So Once it does get approved, you'll be able to see that as well, even if you've already finished the task. So here, this is my application submission, and what the state agency is able to do is a couple of things. One, they can set up reminders. So if they want to help me out, the state agency can set up reminders that go out to me, a few days before the application is due, a week before the application is due, whatever they want to do there. And it'll be sent to the email I have created my account with. And then they can attach files. So they're going to have templates for the most part. If there's some kind of documentation, especially if it's a spreadsheet, and if the documentation is in spreadsheet form, they're going to have templates here for you to fill out. They can upload those templates, attach them to the task. So all you need to do is go into the task and download my application template, and then I can fill it out from there. So everything's all set up in this template for me, and I just need to go ahead and fill this out. So it's not that complicated here to navigate through this process. When you're looking at a specific task, you kind of open it up, it tells you exactly what to do, and it gives you the documents that you need to fill out or the templates that you need to fill out. And then you can go in and you can see, the status of everything. Is it getting approved? Someone not approve it? Why? All that fun stuff. Another thing that I can do here is I can go to posts. So let's say you log in and you're just completely lost on what you need to do. What you can go ahead and do here is you can submit a post. Everybody who's on this work center, including the people from the HFA, will see that post, and they will get a notification of this post via email. And then they'll be able to log in and come in and answer your question. So if you have a question about a specific, maybe there's a specific field in that LIHTC application you didn't understand or doesn't make sense to you, you can just go in here, you can make a post, and anybody who's on this work center will come in and be able to help you out. There's also calendaring on here. So depending on when the different tasks were due, they will show up on a calendar for you in calendar format. And another thing is, let's say you're a developer and you're on multiple projects, or you're on multiple applications with the state HFA, and there are going to be tasks that are related to my Garden Court Apartments deal, but also maybe another deal. What you can do here is if I go to Housing Finance Agency, or if I just go to Home, and I can go to My Tasks, anything that's assigned to me as a developer on any of these deals will show up here. So if I was on something other than Garden Court, I would see those tasks show up here as well. So there's a few different ways to access your tasks. You can go into the specific work center for that specific property, or you can just go to My Tasks and see that everything that's due for you for any and all properties or deals that you might be a part of. Next thing I'm going to show you is there is a second use case that developers have. We do have a few developers who use ProLink HFA as an internal tool for themselves. So I just showed you the first use case. Hey, you're working with an HFA. The HFA uses Procorem, and they're inviting you as a third-party collaborator to Procorem to complete some things for them. But we do have a number of developers that use Procorem as an internal tool for their organization. And I'll show you what that looks like. Just give me a moment to log into the other account. So here I'm in my ABC development account. So this is an account that I've bought from ProLink and I use for my development firm internally. So here I can track things, internal things that need to be done during the development of certain properties, whether they be affordable housing properties or not, or affordable housing development projects or not. So I'm going to go to my development pipeline and just show you a little bit of, what that might look like. I can set up this Greenwood Village deal, and I can set up all my file folders along with the processes that I have to go through as a developer when developing a affordable housing property or a regular non-affordable housing property. I have underwriting, site control, third-party reports. This can all be customized based on what I want. If I go into my underwriting, and I go into my underwriting narrative, I can also have templates in here that show up every time I open this work center, or when I create a new one using this as a template, which I'll show you shortly. I can go to tasks and set up tasks that align with the processes that I have to go through as a developer and that people on my team have to go through. And when I create a new task, these can all be set up really in a lot of different ways. You can assign things to people based on their role. So if somebody's in there with a certain role as a developer or property manager, underwriter, etc., what you can do is when you go here to assign tasks to people, anybody with that role will get that task assignment and will be able to complete it. So if you have a bunch of underwriters or a bunch of people with the developer role, they'll all get assigned the task and any one of them can come in and complete it. The last thing I want to show you here is, let's say there's a new property that I'm just starting the process with. I'm going to go and create a work center. And the thing I like the most about Procorem when it comes to creating these different work centers is going to be the ability to use templates and do templating. So it's going to be on my developer account, of course. And let's say Jim Paris Avenue is what I'm going to call it. And it's going to be my development pipeline. And what I can do here is I can use that Greenwood Village deal, and I can go ahead and I can copy everything that's set up with that. So what I can do is I can import the tasks. So all the same tasks and all the same task categories will be imported, and they will be assigned to the same roles. So anybody who's a developer role assigned a specific task, it will copy that. So we do not have to recreate it every time I have a new deal that shows up. And then I can import files and folders. So that folder structure that I had set up, as well as any templates that I had uploaded associated with those folders, will also be in this new work center. So as you can see, I have my folders here. If I go to my underwriting narrative, my template's going to be there. And if I go to tasks, it's going to have the same tasks and all the same task groupings here. I didn't have to go and recreate this whole format because I am doing kind of a repeatable process or mostly repeatable process every time there is a new development that I'm working on. And another thing I will show you is it's pretty easy to add a new collaborator. So let's say there's a third party or an external party working on this with you. All you need to do is go ahead, first name, last name, email address, and then you'll select, what role they're in, and then it'll send them an invite. It takes, 30 seconds for this person to make an account, and then they'll have access to this work center, and they'll be assigned any tasks that are associated to the role that you assign to them. So that is mostly what we had for you today. If anybody has any questions or anything that they might want to see within Procorem that I haven't covered, feel free to let us know in the chat.
Yeah, my question did just come in.
Okay.
If you can see that, or I can.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything other than, oh, here we go, anonymous attendee. Will it also copy any uploaded files? developers may have placed in those folders. It will not. It will only copy the files that you uploaded as the work center administrator. So yeah, if you have, you know, my ABC development, if I have my Jim Paris Avenue deal, and I'm asking somebody for certain underwriting documents, and they upload a filled out template, it will not copy that if I create it. If I create a new work center based off this template. I can understand why you asked that question. That would be that could create a mess if you were importing those, but it'll only import the ones that were created by the administrator. I'm not seeing any other questions, Sam. So if you want to wrap things up.
Sure. So thank you guys for joining. We'll be sending out a follow-up email with the slide deck and presentation attached, as well as the Q&A that Jim just answered with the answer in that as well. So thank you for joining, and we hope to see you next time.